Fine. So how do I programmatically invoke the Firefox profile which I have just created out here? Oh, you have to close it like this and then open it. Okay. Now to understand that, you have to understand the concept of constructors. Right. Now suppose we have a class called school in Java. Fine. What are the properties of the school? Name of the school, int, number of students in the school. Okay. String, city in which the school is lying. Fine. Int, number of standards a school is having. 2 standards, 3 standards, 5, 10. So these are some of the properties of a school. Okay. Now suppose I have a new class known as, say, test school dot java. Now in this class, if I write school s equals to new school, I create the object of the class. Okay. After this, I initialize the object. School dot name is school A. School dot students are 1000 and school dot standards are, there are 10 standards in the school, and school dot city is, say, city A. So I have initialized all the 4 properties of this school over here. Now suppose there is another object to be created. School s1 equals to new school. For s1 as well, I'll have to enable, or I'll have to initialize all the properties. And city. Now this is a tiresome thing. You create an object and then you line by line you initialize it. We were lucky that there are just 4 properties in this class. What if there had been 40? 40 properties. There can be situations in which there are 40 properties. Okay. So constructors, they come into our help out here. What is a constructor? A constructor is defined inside the class itself like this. Public school. This is the default constructor. The name of the constructor is same as the name of the class. Okay, it's got no return type. This is known as a default constructor. Inside it, I'll write system.out.println creating school object. When is this constructor called? What is the advantage of this? Constructor is called whenever the object of the class is created. Where is the object of the class created in this file? It is created 2 times over here. So if I execute this code, it will print 2 times creating school object. Every time you write new school, the control goes inside this constructor, right, and it prints something. Alright. So if I create another object, if I write over here new school again, and if I run this code, it will again print creating school object. It will print 3 times. This is actually for the third time. Now, uh, how does constructor helps us over here? How does it help us? Right. So what I told you right now is constructor is something which is having the name same as the class name, no return type. Okay, it doesn't return us anything, and it is called when you create the object of the class. Because it is called at the time of creation of the object, you can initialize the object as well at that time. What I mean to say is that you can write over here public school and send, say, the name of the school, int student, total number of students, city, and total number of standards. So I have created one more constructor, but this constructor is taking in 4 parameters. Inside it I can write name equals to n, students equals to sc, city equals to c, and standards equals to s. So what I am doing out here is that I am initializing these variables over here, and these variables over here are the ones which are coming inside the constructor. So when I have to create the object of the school over here, I can write school s2 equals to new school and pass over the parameters, name of the school, students, city, and number of standards. So you can, at the time of creation of object, you can pass over the parameters which are used in the object, right? You can initialize the object itself. So what will happen, you will not have to write all these lines. So this way I can keep on creating objects the way I want, something like this. So this saves my time and energy. If there are more number of parameters, I can add more number of parameters. I don't have to initialize the object like this. Okay. So similarly, the concept of constructors, right? They are used for Firefox profile creation. I'll tell you how. I'll create a new class known as Firefox Profiling. Now this concept of profiling is only present in Firefox. It is not present in IE or Chrome. Okay. Now what is the objective? The objective over here is that we need to open up this temp profile with Selenium. Suppose in this temp profile I go to Google and I bookmark the page as my Google over here. So what I want is that when Selenium opens up Firefox, it should open this profile and this bookmark should come in that browser, right? So how do I do that? You do that with the help of the class which I just showed you, that is profiles ini. You go to Selenium hq.org download section. There was this class, hold on, yeah, profiles ini. You create the object of this class. Now what does this, you import this, what does this object represent? object of the class profiles INI when you create it, right? Inside this object, all the profiles which are there in your system, they get loaded. This object denotes all the profiles which are there in your system. Okay, fine. Now you can use the function profile dot get the profile called temp. From all the objects, you get the profile called temp. Sorry, from all the profile, you get the profile known as temp. Get profile function returns you. If you look at this profiles INI class, there's a get profile function. This function returns you the object of Firefox profile. Okay, Firefox profile is another class which represents the programmatic form of Firefox profile. Right, it's a class which represents the profile of Firefox programmatically. Okay, so you take over here Firefox profile equals to my profile equals to from all the profiles get the profile temp. So this is my profile which I want to open with Selenium. Right, how do I open that? If you look at the Firefox driver class, then in every class there is a constructor summary. These are all the constructors of Firefox driver, out of which we use this one generally. We have used this one. There is another constructor known as capability. We'll talk about all that stuff. Okay, but there is another constructor which accepts the Firefox profile object and opens up that particular profile. Okay, so what you can do is that when you create the object of Firefox driver, you write Webdriver driver equals to new Firefox driver, and you pass over the object of this profile over here. I am not my profile over here. You pass over the reference of Firefox profile, that is open up this particular Firefox profile. You pass it inside the constructor of Firefox driver. Alright, these are all the constructors of Firefox driver. Till like before the break, I had just initialized it using this constructor. Now I am initializing it using this particular constructor. Okay, now when you run this, you see the browser opens up, Firefox browser, and inside it my Google bookmark is there. So this means that the browser which or the profile which you had stored, Selenium has opened that particular profile. Alright, so I'm going to copy these two lines, go back to my multi.java file which I had created. In this file, with the help of WebDriver interface, I was initializing the kind of browser which I wanted. Right, if the browser is Mozilla, then I will write the code which will open up the particular profile which I want. Okay, in this case, this concept of profiling is not there in Chrome or IE. Alright, now soon you will come to know why do you need profiling. Giving you a very simple example, how do you identify elements in Selenium? Now going forward, after going to gmail.com, you have to determine the username password. You need to write the username password, automate it, enter it, right? So the thing is, if I have to identify elements in Selenium, right, I need to inspect them. For example, if you have ever studied QTP, in QTP we have got object spy. When you do descriptive programming, you identify the objects on the page with the help of object spy, right? Okay, so similar is the case over here. Over here there is no inbuilt object spy or something. You have to install some add-ons in Firefox, right? Add-ons such as you type over here. Now this is my temp profile which is currently open. Inside it I am going to install an add-on known as Firebug. Okay, so Chrome and I Selenium. No, in Chrome and I there is no profile. It will open the normal browser which is there on your system. Okay, it's only in the case of Firefox. Alright, now I'll type over here download Firebug. You install this add-on Firebug in your Mozilla. Open this thing inside Mozilla. I'll tell you, Niranjan, hold on. Don't open this link inside Chrome or IE. Right, you click on add to Firefox and this will take few seconds to download and you will get the install option over here. Make sure you open this website and click on this button only in Firefox. Okay, restart your Firefox, and once the Firefox is restarted, you have this icon on the top right for Firebug. You click on this, you'll have the window like this. Hold on, I'll improve the font size of this window. Just a minute. Right, now in this window there is an icon over here, an arrow. If you click on this arrow and if you move your mouse over the page, you get the code of the corresponding elements. Okay, right, and when you work with Selenium, you inspect your Mozilla browser using Firebug. Right, now what about Chrome? If you open Chrome and say I go to anything, like I go to Google search, right, how do I identify elements in a Chrome? In Chrome there is no Firebug which has to be installed, it's already there. If you hit F12 of Chrome, okay, you will get this Chrome inspector window. F12. Similar case is there with IE as well. You hit F12 and you will get it. Right, in Chrome, suppose I have to investigate this Google search button, right, I can simply right click on it and select inspect element. This option is always there in Chrome. When you select this, you see that this Google search gets highlighted, right, this is the element Google search. Now the best thing about Chrome inspector is that if I write my name over here, I can change it on the web page as well. Okay, so but this is just a small thing telling you for your information. But yes, if you right click on any element and you select inspect element, you'll get that particular element, and this is how you can investigate the page. Okay, now what about in IE? Like I have IE6, but in IE8, 9, 10, you again, if you press F12, you'll get the IE inspector window as well. Right, you investigate it with that. But the best thing which I have ever come across is Firebug. Niranjan, I'll tell you all that stuff. I have not talked about XPaths as of now. Okay, I will talk about them. Right, when I talk about them, I'll tell you. hold on. If you have to get the XPath, and if you don't know what an XPath is, please don't listen to this. But since the question has been asked, I'll answer it because it's very simple. You go to inspect element. This is the element, right? Right click on it and you'll get the option copy XPath in Chrome. Okay, this is how you get the XPath in Chrome. Whenever I will write code, which browser it will take as base one? I cannot understand this question, Pradipta. Whenever will write the code, it depends which browser is it opening. Are you opening? It depends which driver are you initializing. Okay, if you are opening Firefox, if you are initializing Firefox driver, it will take the base as Firefox, obviously. Right. Now, if I go to my Eclipse, okay, and I go back to the program Firefox Profiling, or I go to multi.java, I'll open Mozilla. I open Mozilla, I run this code, I open Mozilla, initialize Mozilla with the temp profile. Hold on. Yeah, you see that in this profile I get Firebug. I right clicked on an element, selected inspect. Okay, you get Firebug in this profile. This is the advantage, because you know what, if you don't create a Firefox profile and execute your code, Selenium will create its own profile, it will launch a browser and you will not have Firebug inside it. Okay, now suppose your script is running and Firebug is not there in your Firefox because that Firefox was opened by Selenium. Selenium, you never created a profile having, you never opened a profile having Firebug inside it. You did not write, suppose I do not write this code. I do not open up my temp profile, right? So if I do not open my temp profile, the practical problem which we face is that we do not get Firebug inside Firefox which opens. So this way, if I am on a website, okay, and Selenium fails on that website, you cannot inspect the window, you cannot inspect the code, the base code, the HTML code with the help of Firefox. We are stuck there. But had I opened up the website through a profiling concept, and if I had given up a profile here, in this profile I have got Firebug. So when Selenium will open this profile, it will have Firebug, and if some error occurs while the script is executing, you can directly debug your code in that particular window itself. Okay, this saves a lot of time, effort and energy as well. So that's why we use the concept of profiling. Right. There's a question being asked, is driver dependent on OS? Yes, iDriver is dependent on OS, on the bit version. Chrome driver is also dependent on the OS and bit version. I had asked you to download these exe files, right? These exe files are different for 62-bit and 32-bit operating systems, Praneeth. Okay. Yeah, it's there, right? If you go to this thing, seleniumhq.org, all the drivers, they are there. You go to seleniumhq.org. Yes, this Firefox, so this profiling is only there in Firefox. It's not there in other browsers. You go to this, you'll have the Java, you'll have the third-party drivers for Chrome. You go to the download page over here. On this link, you have the Chrome driver exe for different operating systems and different like versions like 32-bit, 64-bit, and all that stuff you have. This is the link. You can get it from here, Praneeth. Yesterday I got this from here itself, right? Okay. So now moving further, how do you identify objects? Suppose I have to write something inside the username field and something inside the password field. Okay. Now to understand that, you need to understand the concept of sorry, web element in Selenium. Now don't confuse this with the web element in Qtp. First of all, before that, you have to have knowledge of HTML language. Right, HTML language is very important because if you look at the Gmail source, then all this is HTML language, and Selenium works on the HTML language. So if you have a good knowledge of HTML, then you have a good knowledge on how Selenium works, and that helps a lot in the long run. Okay, so I would recommend you that after the class today, just go to Google. If you want to learn this tool, just go to Google and type here HTML tutorial. Okay, go to this website W3 Schools and seriously give in some time to this HTML tutorial. Just learn few of the things. Even learning till HTML frames, learning till this topic, only these many topics. If you study, that will be more than enough. Because you know what, if you have a good knowledge of HTML, then it becomes easy. You must be having some superficial knowledge. I'm sure about it. Many people must be having some superficial knowledge, right? So, how do we work in HTML language? If you look at HTML, then HTML looks like this. There are tags in HTML language. The first tag is HTML, and it opens here and closes in the end. HTML is like an XML file. Rather, it is an XML file in which the first tag is HTML. Every tag is opened and every tag is closed with a slash sign. So there are lots of tags in the HTML language, like form is a tag over here, or div is a tag over here, script is a tag. Whatever starts with a conical bracket is a tag. Okay, and every tag, for example a form tag, right, it starts here, and you see every tag, like a form tag over here, has got number of attributes. These are attributes. ID is an attribute, method is an attribute, okay, no validate is an attribute, action is an attribute. Fine. Every tag has got some attributes associated with it. For example, this is a div tag. This div tag has got the attribute class associated with it. Fine. If I look at the username field, then the username field is an input tag which has got the attributes ID, type, value, name, spell check. All these are the attributes associated with this tag. Input is the tag name. Similarly, this is the sign in button. The tag name is input. Okay. Along with it, there are various tags like ID, class, type, value, name. Fine. So how does this affect us? How does Selenium works, like how this is helpful for us to how these tags are helpful to us, right? I'll just explain you. Hold on, right? I will create a new Excel file, or hold on. What I'll do is I'll go to seleniumhq.org. Right now, this is the official Selenium website, and you go to the documentation. Okay, now in the WebDriver interface, this is my WebDriver interface. You will have a function known as find element. This find element function will find a component, an element on the page based on the criteria you give. The criteria which we give to identify the elements are based on these properties only, the tag name, the attributes, and all that stuff. Okay, so what I'll do over here is that I'll write driver. Driver is the reference of WebDriver interface. Inside it, you have got lot of functions. One of the functions which I just told was find element. There are others as well. Look, guys, you know what? I'll just step back and I'll tell you an important thing, because this will be used a lot. Instead of me going to the documentation of Selenium every time I open seleniumhq.org and go into the documentation, right? You can import this documentation inside Eclipse. Alright, what you can do is that you can go to your project, day 2, go to the properties of that project, fine. Under Java build path, you have all the jars, right? Now copy this Java doc link location, right? Copy this Java doc link location from seleniumhq.org and go to Eclipse, and in the jars which you have added in Java build path library section, you will have Selenium Java 2.33.jar, whatever is the version, right? Expand this jar, you will have Java doc location over here. So basically you have to go to this jar, and in this jar you have the Java doc location. In this Java doc location you can give the URL which you have copied from here, right? In this URL, you know what, just remove index.html from the end. Remove index.html from the end and click on OK, and then again click on OK. That's it. Java docs have been imported inside Eclipse. Now suppose if I write driver dot, you get the functions. If I select find element, I will get the description of this function. I can read the description out here itself. If I click on anything, like if I click over here by, then Java doc will open inside Eclipse itself. You can select this option frames over here, you'll get frames, right? Pranit, HTML unit driver, the question is that in these Java docs under WebDriver, you have something known as HTML unit driver. What is this? This is something which can be used to run your tests in a headless mode. This will not open the browser and do the testing. This will actually not open any browser. The testing runs behind the scenes. I'll tell you, right? I'll tell you, there are a lot of things. There are a lot of things. Okay, just be with me, right? So when you write driver.getgmail.com, and after that you can write the function driver.findElement. Find the element on a page. How do I find the element? This find element function accepts the reference of a class known as by. By is a class inside Selenium which has got various locator strategies. Locator strategies meaning the various ways in which you can locate the elements inside the page. Okay, like this: by the class name, by CSS selector, ID, link text, name, partial link text, tag name, XPath, right? And all these are static. So when you write driver dot find element, you can give the criteria by which property you have to select the element. Now the best property which is there is ID. All these are static fields. Direct, I can access them directly by the class name. The best is ID. If the developer has given unique IDs to the elements on the page, it's very easy to automate the website. But things are not always so simple. Developers, they don't give unique IDs every time to all the elements. So there are other criteria as well. I'll talk about them. Fine. But out here I took the Gmail example because Gmail guys, they are good. They have given ID to the email field. The name, right? The field is, the ID is email. Fine. So I write over here like this: driver dot find the element on the page by the ID email. So what this will find, Selenium will automatically go inside the page. It will find the element with the ID email. Right. There's a question being asked: what if two elements have the same ID? Okay, right. Yes, this can be a possibility. Sometimes developers, they also do a mistake. If two elements on your page are having the same ID, the first thing you should do is that you should tell your developer to correct it. Okay. After that, I'll tell you. Suppose there are two elements on your page. One is over here, and the other one is, say, over here. Both of them have the same ID. Okay, right? So whatever it is, Praneeth, same ID, same name. Then actually, hold on. I'll tell you. I'll tell you. Right. Then you know what? Selenium, when it scans the page, it scans the page from the top left corner to the bottom right corner. That is, it scans the page like this. Okay, it scans the page like this. So if you look at the description of find element function, it says that this function finds the first web element using the given method. Alright, so if there are two objects on your page which have the same ID, then this one would be used. What if I want to use the other one? I'll talk about that. You can extract the objects in bulk and use them. But if you use simply driver.find element and if there are multiple elements in the page, or the first element which is extracted will be used. Okay. Now, Lakshmi is asking the question: what is the architecture of WebDriver? Well, this is what I'm teaching you. The architecture of WebDriver is that everything starts from the WebDriver interface. In the WebDriver interface, we just saw that there is a function known as find element. Okay, and we just use this function driver.find element. But how, after finding it, I have to type in it. How do I do that? If you look at this carefully, find element function returns you the reference of something known as interface web element. Okay, find element returns you the reference of an interface known as web element. Now in the architecture of Selenium, this is the second most important interface after the WebDriver interface, right? What does web element interface does? Don't confuse this with web element of QTP first of all. Okay, web element of QTP is entirely different. In Selenium, what Selenium guys did, they gave a generic name to every component on the page. They said that fine, a link is also a web element, a button is also a web element, a text field is also a web element, image, whatever components you have on a web page, everything technically is known as a web element inside Selenium. So when you write driver.find element, it finds the element on the page and returns you back a reference of web element. Web element is a generic element on a page. If you look at the functions inside this interface, then you will see that the functions, they belong to generic components. Like for example, clear will clear the value of a text field. Click function will click on a link, button, whatever it is, right? Or get the location of the element, get the text of the element, is displayed, whether the element is displayed, is enabled, is selected, right? Send keys means type. Okay, use this method to type into an element. Submit. Okay, so whenever you write driver.find element, no matter what kind of element it is, whether it's a link, whether it's a button or a text field, find element function will return you the reference of web element interface. So that's how Selenium architecture works. Everything starts from the WebDriver interface. You describe the reference of the WebDriver to null. You initialize the driver to a particular browser. Then you navigate to the website, and then you use the find element function inside the driver to keep on finding the elements. Like I used it over here to find username. Username will be a web element. Now if I type username dot, I will get lot of all the functions which are there in this web element interface, like clear can clear the field of the username. Click doesn't make sense over here because you never click on a text field. The function which you'll be using the most will be send keys. Send keys function will simulate typing into the element. Okay, suppose I simulate typing hello inside the username field. So if you run this code, this will open up the browser, right, and type in hello. Right, suppose the script failed at any point of time, I could have opened up Firebug and I could have inspected it. Okay, the same script will work on Chrome as well. If I change my browser to Chrome over here, and if I run the code, the same script will go to Gmail on Chrome and it will type in hello, right? So this is because you know what, the page source remains the same in all the browsers. If until or unless the developers have written a code such a way that it opens up, website opens up differently in all the browsers, right? If that's not the case, then page source will remain same, and if page source remains same, the IDs will remain the same if you change the browsers as well. So you don't really have to worry. There is a very highly unlikely situation that you will have a website which opens up differently in different browsers. That hardly happens. Okay, there's a question being asked. How do we make the synchronization? What do you mean by synchronization, Pradipto? I can't get this. Sridhar, I will answer all those questions. Parameterization. What if I want to run this test case with different what do you say, different usernames and passwords, right? All that stuff. I'll read it from the Excel file instead of hard coding the username. I'll read it from there. That comes up later. That's a standard thing. Okay, it's not a big deal. The first and most important thing which most of the people they skip is learning the tool. Learn the tool first. Okay, after that you can make your test cases and all. I am not making any test case over here. I am teaching you the tool first. So first learn the tool. Okay, like the sync method of QTP. Yeah, Pradipto, sync method of QTP. Yeah, we have got waits over here. There is no sync function in WebDriver. We have a class known as Webdriver Wait, which I'll talk about, right, which does the work. For example, if you have to wait for the page to load, or if you have to wait for the element to pop up, right, something like this. So you use this, and uh, hold on, and there are classes like over here which help you implement this, like Fluent Wait is there. Okay, so all these things do that. Right now, I'm not in a position to explain you this. I will. Okay, so now, any questions? Any questions from this? How do you get XPath in IE? You cannot get that. There's a way out, but that's too complicated. What I do is that I get the XPath in Chrome and Mozilla, and I use it in IE, or I calculate it manually. XPath, you know what? If you actually work on Selenium for a few months, you'll actually know that these all tools like Firework and all, which give you the XPath, they are useless. You can make your better XPaths yourselves manually, right? I'll talk about that in the class. If you get an XPath from IE or Firefox and all, it will really give you a very bad kind of XPath, right? So I will talk about it. I will not talk about it right now because I don't want to confuse it. I've taught so many things today. I'll stop here. Okay, right? No, in Chrome you can get that. I just told you, right, how you can get that. Yes, Dhanshi, I will explain XPaths. I'll tell you. Okay, right. So I'll stop here, and before stopping, I'll give you the links from yesterday. These are the links from yesterday's class. Okay, anybody having any questions regarding the course, please let me know. If you want to join the course, you can go to my website, qtselenium.com. Okay, and out here I have this contact trainer link. You can click on it, and from here you can send me a message that you want to join the training. If you're interested to join the training, send me the message through this. Don't reply to an email, don't do that. Send me the message through the contact trainer section of the website. Okay. And if you have made up your mind, better send it right now. Don't waste 1 week. I've seen you wasting 1 week, and because you get the username, password to watch the videos and all everything, right? So you can come to the next class watching some videos. So that's the only reason. Otherwise, it's completely up to you. You can also take up the time, right? So